Hello everybody, today we're going to be giving you a brief overview of the rules for Dodgy Dice. Thanks so much for purchasing this game. This is an exciting game of bluff and chance. We're just going to jump right into it here. To start off, the instructions are here, but quickly, there's 20 dice. If you're playing with 2 players, you would do 10 dice each, 3 players, 6 dice each, 4 players, 5 dice each, 5 players, 4 dice, and then 6 players, there's 3 dice. So I got my companion here. He's going to be explaining a little bit about how to play this game. So go ahead.
Right, so since we only have 2 people playing right now, we each start with 10 dice. So you want to count out, make sure you have 10 each. Obviously, if you have different amount of players, you do different amounts of dice. Then this is the seer stone. We'll worry about that later. So you start with 10 dice. And then when you roll the dice at the same time, you want to cover your dice so that the other player can't see what you rolled. So we roll, and we cover it. And each of the dice has a different figure on it, and there are Book of Mormons, Leohonas, Tree of Lives, and swords.
And boats.
And boats. And you want to start by making basically a guess about how much of certain image are on the table. So I'll start, since I'm the youngest, I go first, and I say, there are 2 swords on the table. And then the play goes to the other player, and he has to either agree with that, and if he does agree with it, make a bet higher than that, or a guess higher than that. If he doesn't, he says, that's dodgy, and we reveal our dice and see who's right.
Okay. So you said...
I said there are 2 swords on the table.
Okay, and I agree with that.
Okay.
And then I say that there are 3 boats.
Okay. And then I also agree with that. And I say there are 6 Leohonas on the table.
And one thing you should note is that the numbers always have to increase, like you said, each time. So obviously, if you're only incrementing a little bit at a time, it gets harder and harder for people to believe that there's that many. So you said what now?
6 Leohonas.
Okay, a dodgy. That's dodgy.
That's dodgy. So then you reveal your dice, and you want to see who was right. Since he thought there weren't 6, we count. I have 1, and he has 1. So there's only 2. So it was dodgy, so he wins the round and gets 1 of my dice.
Yeah.
And he gets the seer stone. This is where the seer stone comes into play. The seer stone is a wild dice, or a wild die. It can be whatever the person who has the seer stone wants it to be. It doesn't affect... I can't decide what it's going to be since he has it, but if he wants it to be a sword, he can make it a sword. He can make it whatever he wants.
And if somebody loses a round and that somebody can take the dice from them, they could choose to take the seer stone instead of a dice.
Right.
And then let's go ahead and
yeah. Then the play continues like that. Oh, dropped 1.
You're doing a terrible job of covering up your dice. I know. Can see them.
I'm sorry. Here you go.
I'm sure in a real game you'd be a lot more careful about covering
Nobody can see it.
So do I start this time?
So yeah, it's his turn, or your turn to
And
start.
it goes to the left if you're playing with more than 2 people, the next person's turn. I think that there are 4 trees.
Right. So I'm going to go ahead and just say right off the bat that that's dodgy.
Okay. So we show our hand. I have 1 tree, 2 oops, that was
trees.
A tree, 3 trees, and that wild card is a
also,
tree.
I have a tree, so even if you didn't have that wild card, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, so I take now...
So you take another one of my dice.
Yeah, and
I'm running out of dice.
And so here, basically, that's how the game goes back and forth until one person has all the dice. Although you can make other rules, like if somebody has only 3 dice, then they get put out of the game and their dice get out of the game. There's more specifics in the instructions. But essentially, the main thing is that it increments at least over what the previous guess was. So if someone guesses 2, then the next person has to at least guess 3, although they could guess higher. And it just goes back and forth like that. And it gets pretty tricky. Can I see some dice here? We were playing a little bit earlier, and as I kept losing, he got more power because he could basically see more and also use this wild card.
Gets harder to win when you have barely any dice.
Yeah. And that's how you play Dodgy Dice. So thanks for watching. If you want to find out more, you can look in the instructions. But that's it. So thanks. Bye-bye.